subscribe. I have a few questions for you this month. If you click this video, that means you probably know who Boaz is. For those of you who don't know, quick story, there's a woman named Naomi. She had a husband and she had 2 sons, and those sons were also married. But then one day, all 3 men died. So as a result, Naomi told her daughter-in-laws to just go home to their families. And although one of them did, one of them decided to stay with Naomi. So the daughter-in-law who decided to stay with Naomi joined her to her hometown. And in this hometown, it turns out that Naomi had a family member, a man of good standing, who was known as a kinsman redeemer. Not only did this man hire the daughter-in-law, but he actually ended up marrying her. Her name was Ruth, and his name was Boaz. Now that story, I did a very broad overview. But resulting from the stories, a lot of times in Christian circles, you'll hear single women talk about, I'm looking for my Boaz, or I'm waiting for my Boaz. But my question for you today is, are you Ruth? I know that sounds a little funny, but the couple in this story ends up being Boaz and Ruth. And if you're looking for your Boaz, are you ready to be Ruth? Are you Ruth? See, there are just so many things that we can learn from the scriptures that can be turned into questions if you're looking for your Boaz. For example, if you're looking for your Boaz as Ruth, are you decided in who your God is? Because you see, when Naomi tried to send Ruth away back to her own family, Ruth said, no, my people will be your people and my God your God. So are you absolutely decided in who your God is? And Ruth was a Moabite woman. She was not Jewish. She was not an Israelite. So she did not necessarily grow up with the knowledge of who God was. But now that she knew who God was, she was set that the God of Israel was going to be her God. And then from there, the next question is, are you ready to be in a land that's unfamiliar? Are you willing and ready to be a foreigner? Now in this story, Ruth went to a different land. Naomi was from Bethlehem, and Ruth went back with her. But Ruth did not know Bethlehem. And that might be different for you and I. So for example, being a foreigner might be a new job. Being a foreigner might literally be a new land. The Lord might tell you to up and move to another country. But are you willing and ready to be a foreigner? Because had Ruth not gone to Bethlehem, she never would have met Boaz. And then my next question is, are you ready to stop looking for a man? I know, that seems kind of ridiculous to ask, and almost antithetical since we're talking about Boaz and Ruth, this couple that got married and was engrafted into the lineage of Jesus. It seems ridiculous. Why would I even ask that? But when you read the story, you realize that Ruth wasn't looking for a man. Instead, she wanted to stick by her mother-in-law's side, and she wanted to provide for them. Specifically, Ruth chapter 2 verse 2 says, And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I may find favor. So then what do the scriptures really tell us? What does the book of Ruth really tell us? That we don't have to look for our Boaz, but that in God's timing, He will set up everything that we need. Because when Ruth went to go glean from the fields, it was Boaz's field. She didn't even know Boaz until she started working in the field. If you pay attention to the scriptures, you'll see that Naomi and Ruth went to Bethlehem right as the barley harvest was beginning. And so you have to trust God's timing, let His timing happen. Because if they wouldn't have went to Bethlehem, or they would have went to Bethlehem at a different time, things would not have been set in place or in motion for Ruth and Boaz to meet up the way they did at the time that they did. She might have went to somebody else's field. And then somewhere in between there, Naomi gave Ruth instruction on how to connect with Boaz. So are you willing to listen to instruction that's not coming from your own head? Are you willing to listen to godly instruction and wisdom? You might be looking for your Boaz, but are you Ruth? That is my question for you today. And when Ruth did finally marry Boaz, not only did she gain a husband, but her mother-in-law Naomi gained a son, which means that she was also taken care of, even more so than when Ruth was working. So just wait. In God's timing, your Boaz will come to you. So think about it. If you have not found your Boaz yet, check and make sure that you're doing all the things, that you're following God's timing, that you're working on the ministry that you have, which is your family first. It's all about having a willing and open heart to do what the Lord calls you to do. And that might be to be a foreigner. Don't be so busy looking for your Boaz that you lose sight of God. Now, this is not me telling you that you're doing it all wrong, but this is a reminder to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness, and everything else shall be added unto you. Be blessed.